We've always thought of Brad Pitt as one of Hollywood's brightest stars, a flawless man with a stellar career, mesmerizing looks, and the image of a devoted father. But is any of that really true? Newly leaked court documents paint an entirely different picture of Brad Pitt, a man consumed by alcohol, locked in fiery arguments with Angelina Jolie, and at the center of a family so fractured that even his own children have turned away from him. This isn't just a story about a broken marriage. This is the downfall of a legend, the dark side Hollywood has tried to keep hidden. And the most chilling part, these secrets may only be the tip of the iceberg. Today, we're diving deep into the shadows the public has never seen, a Brad Pitt Hollywood never dared to show you, the real man behind the dazzling mask. Brad Pitt, the name that once stood as Hollywood's perfect symbol, a flawless golden boy, a man admired by millions of fans worldwide. With his striking looks, effortless charm, and legendary career, Brad Pitt wasn't just a talented actor. He was the idealized image of a devoted father and a dream man. But everything people believed about him has been shaken to its core as the secrets behind the spotlight slowly come to light. Recently unsealed court documents have exposed a completely different side of Brad Pitt, a man consumed by alcohol, substances, and uncontrollable rage. Explosive arguments, furious outbursts, even alleged acts of violence against his own family. These revelations have shattered the once pristine image of Hollywood's most distinguished leading man. No longer the composed, compassionate figure the world once adored, Brad Pitt is now synonymous with accusations of abuse, legal battles, and a growing estrangement from his own children. The disappointment isn't just limited to fans. It has spread throughout the entertainment industry. Colleagues who once admired him as a peer, a symbol of Hollywood perfection, are now left questioning who he really is. There was a time when Brad Pitt was the ultimate role model, his acting, his carefully cultivated public persona, his seemingly perfect family life. But as the truth unravels, the admiration that once surrounded him has morphed into skepticism, even contempt. The public is now doubting the image Hollywood spent decades crafting for Brad Pitt. Is he truly the kind-hearted man his movie roles portrayed? Or was it all just an expertly polished facade, concealing a deeply flawed individual underneath? Many fans feel betrayed. They once believed Brad Pitt was the epitome of a gentleman. Now they are left stunned, disillusioned, unable to see him in the same light. The downfall of a legend never happens overnight. It's a slow, painful unraveling, one revelation at a time, one dark secret exposed, one testimony after another, chipping away at the carefully constructed myth of Brad Pitt. From his messy divorce with Angelina Jolie and the bitter custody battle, to the shocking allegations about how he treated his children, each revelation is like a dagger to his once golden reputation, distorting his public image more and more. And now, the biggest question remains, can Brad Pitt recover from this fall, or is this the final curtain for Hollywood's golden boy? There was a time when Brad Pitt and Angelina Jolie were the epitome of Hollywood romance. They were the ultimate power couple, the perfect fusion of one of the world's most desirable men and a sharp, fiercely independent movie star. Their love story captivated the world, not just because of its passion, but because of the family they built together, big, unconventional, and full of love. But love doesn't always last forever. And when theirs ended, all that remained was a bitter legal battle, harsh accusations, and a relationship so broken it could never be repaired. When Brad Pitt met Angelina Jolie, he was still married to Jennifer Aniston, a union once considered the gold standard of stability in scandal-ridden Hollywood. But after their fateful collaboration in Mr. and Mrs. Smith in 2005, rumors of an affair between Brad and Angelina sparked an unprecedented media storm. Jennifer Aniston became the heartbroken woman scorned, while Brad and Angelina faced intense public backlash. Yet, despite the controversy, they chose each other. Together, they built a family of 6, 3 adopted children and 3 biological ones, crafting the image of a picture-perfect home overflowing with love and happiness. But beneath the rosy facade, cracks had already begun to form. Differences in lifestyle, parenting philosophies, and the pressures of their careers slowly took a toll. Brad Pitt, once seen as a devoted father, started to spiral into alcohol abuse, while Angelina Jolie, a woman known for her strength and determination, felt increasingly alienated. Their fights became more frequent, their differences more irreconcilable, and everything came to a head on that fateful flight in 2016 where their marriage shattered beyond repair. According to investigative reports, Brad Pitt completely lost control during a flight from France to the US, yelling, raging, and allegedly becoming physically violent toward Angelina and their children. Their eldest son, Maddox, reportedly intervened to protect his mother and was met with aggression from Brad. The FBI launched an investigation but ultimately did not press charges. Yet for Angelina Jolie, this was the breaking point, the final straw in a marriage she had tried to hold together. She filed for divorce shortly after, and from that moment on, the real battle began. From the bitter custody fight over their children to the fierce legal disputes over shared assets, particularly the contentious battle over their vineyard, Chateau Miraval, things only escalated. Brad Pitt accused Angelina of selling her share without his consent, while she claimed he used the vineyard to pressure her into signing an NDA, non-disclosure agreement, regarding his past abuse. What was once love had morphed into outright war, and their children, the living witnesses of this painful feud, gradually distanced themselves from the father once adored by millions. What began as a fairy tale romance has turned into an endless war, marked by tears, trauma, and wounds that will never heal. Hollywood once celebrated them as the ultimate couple, but now all that remains is a ruin, a broken family and memories no one wishes to relive. There are moments that change a person's life forever. For Brad Pitt, that moment happened on a flight from France to the US in 2016, a violent altercation between him and his children that left an unerasable scar on the Jolie Pitt family. At the time, Brad Pitt was still one of Hollywood's most powerful stars, carrying the image of a composed, charismatic, and refined man. But after that fateful incident, what the world saw was something entirely different, a man who had lost control, intoxicated, and aggressive. What really happened on that flight? According to FBI investigation reports and testimony from Angelina Jolie, Brad Pitt was heavily intoxicated, his actions erratic. He screamed, hurled insults at his wife, and threatened his children. The situation escalated when Maddox, their eldest son, then 15 years old, attempted to intervene to protect his mother. That's when Brad allegedly lashed out at him, prompting Angelina to step in to stop the violence. The atmosphere in the cabin became suffocatingly tense. The children, whom Brad had once sworn to protect with his life, were now trapped in a nightmare no child should ever witness. This wasn't just an argument. It was a breaking point, a betrayal of trust, a moment of fear that would leave an indelible mark on the children's minds. When the plane landed, Brad's rage continued. He reportedly damaged property at the airport, further escalating the situation. The FBI and the Los Angeles Department of Child and Family Services launched an investigation. The result? Brad Pitt was not charged with any crime, but in the eyes of his children, that didn't mean he was innocent. Angelina Jolie, who had spent years supporting and standing by Brad Pitt, made a decisive move. She filed for divorce immediately after the incident, citing the safety of her family as the primary reason. It was the official end of a marriage that had already been crumbling, but no one expected the fallout to drag on for years. How did the public react? At first, Brad Pitt's fans were in disbelief. How could a man long praised as the ideal father act so recklessly? But then, leaked documents, witness accounts, and buried reports began to surface. The truth, bit by bit, came into focus, forcing people to reconsider their stance. The disappointment extended beyond fans. It spread to Hollywood itself. The industry that once celebrated Brad Pitt as the epitome of a perfect man now looked at him with suspicion. People who once stood by his side began to distance themselves. That flight wasn't just an incident within a family, it was a defining moment that reshaped Brad Pitt's public image. It became the catalyst for his children turning their backs on him, and the trigger for one of the most bitter, expensive divorce battles in Hollywood history. What did Brad Pitt lose that day? A wife who once adored him, children who once idolized him, and most importantly, the impeccable gentleman image he had spent decades building. People often say, no matter what happens, family is always a place to return to. But for Brad Pitt, the most painful reality isn't public criticism or a shaky career, it's watching his own children walk away one by one. The cracks began forming right after his 2016 divorce. Many assumed his strained relationship with his children was only temporary, that time would heal the wounds, but the reality was quite the opposite. The resentment between Pitt and his children deepened over the years, leading many to wonder, is there any road back for Brad Pitt? Maddox, the first to say goodbye, Maddox Jolie Pitt was the first to publicly cut ties with Brad Pitt, once the child Brad adored the most, so much so that he sought legal adoption immediately after falling for Angelina. Maddox became the first to turn his back after the 2016 plane incident. In 2019, when Maddox began attending Yonsei University in South Korea, a journalist asked if he still communicated with Brad Pitt. His response was chillingly distant. Whatever happens, happens. A simple statement, but one filled with cold detachment, pain, and disappointment. It sent shockwaves through Hollywood. Brad's own son had emotionally severed their bond in just 5 words. Pax Jolie Pitt, the most outspoken rebuke if Maddox chose silence, Pax took a different route. In 2020, a leaked post from Pax's private Instagram account surfaced, where he called Brad Pitt a terrible, scary, toxic father, and declared he would never forgive what Brad had done to his mother and siblings. The harsh words set social media ablaze. Brad's fans rushed to his defense, claiming it was just the emotional outburst of a teenager. But the rest of the world saw something different. This wasn't a media exaggeration. It was a painful, undeniable reality. Zahara, a silent yet profound statement, Zahara, whom Angelina once described as the strongest heart in the family, also chose to distance herself from Brad Pitt, but she did so in a way more heartbreaking than any direct criticism. In late 2023, when Zahara joined the Alpha Kappa Alpha sorority at Spelman College, she introduced herself without using the Pitt surname. Legally, she still carried his name, but in her life, she had erased him. It wasn't just a choice, it was a statement. Shiloh, the biological daughter who let go, but the biggest blow to Brad Pitt came from his own biological daughter, Shiloh Jolie Pitt. Unlike Maddox or Pax, Shiloh wasn't adopted. She was Brad and Angelina's first biological child, once celebrated as the golden child of Hollywood's most glamorous couple. Yet, in 2024, upon turning 18, Shiloh took legal steps to remove Pitt from her name. This wasn't just family drama anymore, it was a legal and emotional severance. For years, Shiloh was the only child who remained in contact with Brad after the divorce. But after witnessing everything that unfolded, she too made her choice. There was nothing left to hold on to. The bigger question, is there any hope for Brad Pitt? From Maddox to Pax, from Zahara to Shiloh, each child has walked away in their own way. And the biggest question remains, why has not a single one of his children returned to him? Hollywood has seen many father-child estrangements, but few as absolute as this. Some speculate that Angelina Jolie manipulated the children against Brad. But if that were true, why would Shiloh, the one child Brad was closest to, still choose to leave him? Whatever the reason, one thing is clear. Brad Pitt has lost his family forever.